What's up everyone, I'm Pamela, welcome back to my channel. Today is Valentine's Day, and you know what Valentine's Day is all about.
It's about love!
So I thought for today's video I would rank every single couple from the Scream franchise. And there's actually been a lot of them throughout the whole franchise. But before we get into it, please don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And please also go follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Let's get into it. So there have been 16 couples throughout the entire Scream franchise. These are 16 official couples. There are quite a few that I don't consider official couples. They're kind of just more like hookups on the side, which if you stick around till the end of the video, I will be doing honorable flings, as well as a few couples that I wish had gotten together. But for the ranking, we're doing 16 couples. And this ranking is going to be a little bit different than what I usually do. This is not going to be based on my personal preference because believe me, you'll be able to tell at the end. Some couples that are ranked pretty high are not my personal favorite. So what I decided to do is base their ranking on 3 different components. The first one is their compatibility. The second one is their longevity as a couple. And the third one is their importance to the story. Each of those 3 points I'm rating out of 10, and then I'm going to get the average from those 3 numbers, and that will be their ranking. I decided to do it this way because honestly, it was hard for me to figure out how I would rank them, so I thought this would be fun to do it a little differently. So coming in last place at number 16, I have Tera and Chad. For their compatibility, I gave them a 5. Kind of just right smack in the middle. They're sort of compatible because they're in the same friend group, but in my opinion, they're kind of like an odd pairing, and it almost feels a little forced to me to kind of just mirror Gail and Dewey. For their longevity, I gave them a 1 because they've hardly been together. They just got together in Scream 6. And then for importance to the story, I gave them a 1 because, like I said, it kind of just feels forced and meant to mirror Dewey and Gail. I feel like them being together is not that important to the story. Whether they were together or not, the movie still would have been pretty much the same. So those 3 ratings gave them a 2.3, so that's why they're in last place. Coming in next at number 15, I have Mindy and Anakah. For their compatibility, I gave them a 7 because they do seem like they vibe together, but they do have their differences. Mindy is a big horror movie fan. Anakah didn't strike me as that. Longevity, I gave them a 1 because they unfortunately did not last that long as a couple. They got together that year, and poor Anakah didn't make it. And then importance to the story, I gave them a 2. Again, they just don't seem that important to the story to me. The movie pretty much would have been the same whether they were together or not. And Mindy didn't even seem that fazed by her death. She seemed to get over it pretty quickly. So this all gave them a score of 3.3. Next up in 14th place, I have Jill and Trevor. For compatibility, I gave them a 4. They don't seem super compatible with each other, but they're both kind of assholes. Jill's obviously a crazy bitch, and Trevor cheated on her, so he seems like kind of a dick.
Even though Trevor was a prick, he didn't deserve to get shot in the...
Longevity, I gave them a 2 because they clearly broke up because he cheated on her and then she kills him. For importance to the story, I gave them a 6. They are kind of important to the story. She was gonna frame him. He was kind of a suspect the whole movie. So this all gives them a score of 4. Next up in 13th place, I have Liv and Chad from Scream 5. For compatibility, I gave them a 7. They kind of give me similar vibes. They're both not the brightest, so I actually think they made a cute couple. And then longevity, I gave them a 2 because they clearly didn't date that long. She had been with Vince previously that summer, And importance to the story, I gave them a 3. They just weren't super important. The movie could have been the same whether they were together or not. So all of this gives them a score of 4, actually tying them with Jill and Trevor. But because I like Liv and Chad more, I ranked them higher than Jill and Trevor. Next up in 12th place, I have Cotton and Christine from Scream 3. For compatibility, I gave them a 5. We obviously didn't see them interact that much. I kind of gave them a score right in the middle for compatibility because for some reason she strikes me as an actress. Maybe they met working in Hollywood, so that would make them compatible, but not super compatible because he plays these ghost face games on her that she doesn't enjoy. For longevity, I gave them a 1 because we only get to see them in the opening scene before they both die. And then importance to the story, I gave them a 7 just because Ghostface attacking her is what brought Cotton home to then die himself. So all of this gives them a score of 4.3. Next up in 11th place, I have Moren Evans and Phil Stevens from Scream 2's opening scene. For compatibility, I gave them a 4, just because in the whole opening scene, they seem to disagree a lot. They both disagree on which movie to watch. They're kind of like bickering the whole time. Longevity, I gave them a 1 because we only get to see them in the opening scene. And I'm sure they weren't dating for that long before the opening scene. And then importance to the story, I gave them an 8. I just think the opening scenes are always important to the story. So this all gives them a score of 4.3, tying them with Cotton and Christine. Next up in 10th place, we have Sydney and Derek from Scream 2. For compatibility, I gave them a 6. They just seem to mesh well together. They both go to the same school. Longevity, I gave them a 1 because they obviously weren't dating that long, less than a year. And then importance to the story, I gave them a 7. Because throughout the movie, she's kind of doubting him, wondering if she can trust her choice in a boyfriend again. And then at the end, Mickey tries to convince her that Derek is his partner. So this all gives them a score of 4.6. Next up, coming in 9th place, we have Sydney and Mark Kincaid, her now husband. For compatibility, I gave them a 5. If I'm being honest, they kind of seem like an odd pairing to me. They didn't seem that compatible in Scream 3. I feel like when we find out in Scream 5 that they're married, it's kind of just to give us a connection to a past movie. I mean, I'm happy that they're married, and I hope that we get to see them in Scream 7, but it does feel kind of like an odd pairing to me. For longevity, I gave them a 6 because clearly they've been married for many years, they have children together. And then for importance to the story, I give them a 4. I just feel like they're not that important to the story yet. Hopefully that changes in Scream 7, but he wasn't even mentioned in Scream 4. They probably weren't together then yet, and he just gets mentioned in Scream 5. We don't get to see him, so they're not that important to the story yet. So all of this gives them a score of 5. Next up in 8th place, we have Casey Becker and Stephen Orth. For compatibility, I gave them a 4. For longevity, I gave them a 2. They obviously haven't been dating that long. She was just previously with Stu. And then, of course, they both died. Importance to the story, I gave them a 9. And this all gives them a score of 5. So this actually ties them with Sydney and Mark. But I ranked Casey and Steve higher because I do think that they're more important to the story. I mean, that opening scene is iconic. Coming in at number 7, we have Sam and Richie. For compatibility, I gave them a 5. For longevity, I gave them a 3. They weren't dating that long. And for importance to the story, I gave them a 9. And this all gives them a score of 5.6. Coming in at number 6, I have Sydney and Billy. Compatibility, I gave them a 3. Obviously, they're very different people. Longevity, I gave them a 4 because I do believe that they were together for 2 years. We know that they were together before he murdered her mom a year ago. And for importance to the story, I gave them a 10. Their relationship is vital to the first movie. And this all gives them a score of 5.6, which actually ties them with Sam and Richie, but Sydney and Billy are just far more iconic and important to the entire franchise. so that's why I ranked them higher. Coming in at number 5, we have Sam and Dani. For compatibility, I gave them a 9. I feel like they just vibe together so well. That whole scene in the lobby of their building is so cute. I think he was a good boyfriend to her. He understood her, so I think they're very compatible. Longevity, I gave them a 2 because they are clearly not dating for that long. And importance to the story, I gave them a 7. This all gives them a score of 6. Coming in at number 4, we have Gail and Dewey. For compatibility, I gave them a 2. I know that's low, but they just do not seem that compatible to me, and that's why they can never make things work. Every movie, it's like they start off not even together, and they fight the whole movie, and then end up together at the end. When we first see them in Scream 2, they hadn't been together since the first one. Same thing in Scream 3. Scream 4, they're married, but they're like having issues. And then Scream 5, they're not even together. He left in the middle of the night, didn't even say goodbye to her in New York. So they do not seem very compatible to me at all. For longevity, I gave them a 7 because even though they're not super compatible, they were together on and off for many years. And importance to the story, I give them a 10. This all gives them a score of 6.3. Next up in third place, we have Stu and Tatum. For compatibility, I give them a 9. You know, before we find out that Stu's a killer and before Tatum dies, they just seem like a great couple. Very similar vibe. All their scenes are so cute together. Longevity, I give them a 2. I don't think they were together very long. He was with Casey previously, and then of course Tatum dies. For importance to the story, I give them an 8. This gives them a score of 6.3, which actually ties them with Gail and Dewey. Now for second and first place, this is where you're gonna see how this is clearly not based on my personal preference. Coming in at number 2, we have Moren and Neil Prescott. For compatibility, I give them a 2. She clearly was cheating on him left and right. He was never home, away on business, so not very compatible. Longevity, I give them an 8 because they were clearly together Sydney's whole life. And importance to the story, I give them a 10. Their relationship was vital to the story. So this all gives them a score of 6.6. And then coming in first place is Amber and Richie. Like I said, not even close to being my favorite couple. However, for compatibility, I give them a 10 because they're both just crazy Ghostface killers. For longevity, I give them a 2 because I really don't think they were together that long. And then importance to the story, I give them a 10. Them being together and working together was very important to Scream 5. So all of this gives them a score of 7.3, which ranks them in first place. And now for the honorable flings. Couples who weren't really official couples, but hooked up or flirted or whatever. There are actually 12 of them. These 12 I'm not ranking, I'm just listing them for you guys. We have Moren and Hank Loomis, Moren and Cotton Weary, Roman Bridger and Jennifer Jolie. They slept together. We have Charlie and Kirby, who had a little bit of a flirty relationship. We have Liv and Vince. We find out that she dated Vince over the summer. We have Mindy and Francis from Scream 5. I love that scene. We have Casey and Stu, who briefly dated before the events of the first movie.
Hey Stu, didn't you used to date Casey?
Yeah, for like 2 seconds, before she dumped you for Steve.
We also have Billy Loomis and Christina Carpenter. We know that Billy cheated on Sydney with Christina. We also have Randy and Karen Kolchak. We find out in Scream 3 that he lost his virginity to her.
Karen Kolchak? Yes, Karen Kolchak. Creepy Karen? Shut up!
We have Quinn and Paul 2.0, which is how he's credited in the end credits of Scream 6. And then we also have Gail and Brooks. I'm counting him not as an official boyfriend, but as a fling because she didn't seem upset at all after he died. And then I'm also going to throw in Stu and Sydney, just because he says he always had a thing for her.
I always had a thing for you, Sid!
So those are 10 honorable flings. And then 2 couples that I think should have been together. First up, we of course have Sydney and Randy. It kills me that they never got together. I wish that Randy made it to the third movie alive so that they could date.
I'd let the geek get the girl.
There is a deleted scene at the end of the first movie. I'm not sure if it ever got filmed or whatever, but it was in the script where Randy asks her, do you want to go see a movie sometime? And she says, as long as it's not a scary movie. And then another couple that I wanted to see get together is Mickey and Hallie in Scream 2. They have that like one little flirty moment at the party.
Hey babe, you wanna dance?
I'd love to. You know, with that tall, wide-shouldered, fraternity boy.
That hurts.
Obviously, he's a psycho killer, so it wouldn't have worked out. But a part of me wishes that he wasn't the killer and just a part of the friend group and they got together. So that's it for today. That was my ranking of all 16 couples from the entire Scream franchise. Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on all of this. Who is your favorite couple? Please don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And you can also follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching. Have a happy Valentine's Day, and I will see you guys in the next video.